Tony Gallatin, and welcome to the Tony Talk Show. Today's guest is a very, very good friend of mine. Major real estate developer here in Chicago, and I don't even have the words to explain how amazing he really truly is, and the obstacles that he's going through and gotten through, and what he contributes to this city of Chicago. And so without any further ado, I'm going to let him tell his own story, because no one can tell your story like you can. So gosh, welcome, Darryl.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me first, Tony.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, so, we've been friends for a very long time. And I know when you initially approached me with the idea of coming on, I was humbled and honored to do so. And even more today, because obviously I have more of a story to tell.
Yes.
So, wherever you'd like me to begin.
Oh, gosh. Gosh, I don't even know where to begin, because it's just you got so many layers of things that we can talk about. Well, I guess I would like for you to just get started with how you sort of just built this major empire almost, and your notoriety here in Chicago as far as development.
Yeah, well, I started out, now I'll go back to, I started out investing in real estate back in the early 90s. And at the time I was in corporate. I was previously a senior manager for FedEx. And I did that all the way up until 2000. And I left FedEx to pursue my real estate development career full-time then. And my first project, happy to say, being a pioneer of Bronzeville, I did my first condo conversion project here. And the project started in 2000. I think we finished up maybe in 2002, where we did 6 condos just right around the corner here in Forestville, where my very first project, I took a building that and gutted it and turned it into 6 condos, and quite a learning experience, but also a story of perseverance, because I didn't know. And I started out with purchasing the property and $250,000 in construction. Well, I didn't know, and I needed $1 million and $2
But
to
you
do
went
the project.
For it. Yeah.
We went through refinancing, got the additional money, and at the time I had 2 partners that were supposed to be in it, but everything was all financed in my name. So it was really my life that was on the line.
Exactly.
Because I knew if I failed there wouldn't be any other projects. So once I refinanced and obtained a loan for $1 million plus, I finished the project, and I didn't care if I didn't make $1. The goal was to survive it. And we turned a very small profit, but paid off the loan, and then it just kind of went on from there. And so my development of Bronzeville started in the early 2000 through 2007. And so I did a lot of projects there, and then moved out and just really did a lot of other properties throughout the city, primarily on the south side. I also was a pioneer of the Jackson Park Highlands.
Oh my.
I did the very first project in 2005 in the Jackson Park Highlands, where I took a single family home that sold in the 500,000s back then, which was unheard of, because everyone that owned houses in the Jackson Park Highlands had owned them for years, and so there hadn't been much turnover. Then I did the next one there, and that one was 1.2, which was a record for Jackson Park Highlands. And so so it's been a lot of those projects, and part of this journey, and I certainly don't want to gloss over it to make it appear that it was all easy, because when the market crashed, so did I, and lost everything, had to rebuild. But one thing that was in me was still my knowledge.
Yes.
And so it took time to figure out how to come back. So I left, stepped away, went into the trucking business, and didn't know anything about that. But again, one of these stories of perseverance. Every opportunity that I got when I was out, if I stopped in the gas station and there was a trucker in line next to me, I started talking. And I just kept learning and learning and learning. And then I put my own trucks on the road, and then picked up 2 or 3 additional drivers that run under my own authority. And basically what that means is when you're running under your own authority, when you see those trucks out there on the highway and you see that MC number on the side where you're authorized through motor vehicles through to transport freight across the country, that's
big.
It's big.
That's really big, yes.
It's a huge responsibility.
Yes,
So I did
yes.
that. Then I came back to real estate, and that business is really good, and tons of opportunities for young black men, because they're less concerned about whether or not you have infractions with, drugs, etc. If you go and get a CDL license, the drivers, it's easy to start out making $50,000, $60,000 a year, and that business could grow to 6 figures easy in that business. But then I came back to my love of real estate and returned doing that full time, and started back up in maybe 14. And I took I started out very small, bought a single family house in Olympia Fields for $54,000 that was filled with mold. Nobody wanted to even go in the house. And gutted it and sold it for $250.
You're back.
Yeah, I'm back. And so the story has kind of went on, and then let's see, this past year in 2019, when I went in for my annual physical, part of the blood work is testing to see, for diabetes, etc.
High blood pressure.
And for men,
high cholesterol.
And for men, there are a couple of really big things for us: colon cancer and prostate cancer. In 2019, my PSA level, which is again the test for prostate, and mine was 2.0, which at my age was about online, but it shouldn't be higher than that. But it was something that required monitoring. I didn't monitor it. I went back in 2020. My PSA level was 14. But the real story is how I ended up getting back in 2020 into the doctor. So in August, I had a hernia, and I went in to have it checked or to figure out what was going on. And they said, it's a hernia, you probably need to have surgery. And just through sheer negligence, I didn't have the affordable health care going into 2000, because I didn't make the decisions on doctors, etc. And my primary doctor was at Northwestern, and I wanted to continue to go there, but the program changed, so I didn't make a decision, and as a result, I ended up without coverage going into the year 2020. So when I went in for the exam for the hernia, they told me that that Northwestern had some assistance if you didn't have insurance. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll just pay for it, first. And so I went in, and they told me how much it was going to be. I was like, oh my God, it's a lot more than I thought. So maybe paying for it won't be the answer. And so the financial assistance kicked in, and so I needed $39,000 for the surgery, and they gave me $77,000 in coverage. And then I thought, this doesn't seem to be great business that you're going to give me $77,000 for a $39,000 surgery. But God's wonder.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and you know, I didn't know. I didn't know that I needed
This was a
77,000.
preparation for something else.
Yeah. So after I have the hernia surgery, I called because I needed to get the colonoscopy, which was really high and was really important. There was a lot of talk about it because it was the same time Chadwick Boseman from Black Panther had died of colon cancer. And so there was a heightened awareness and even more heightened awareness for black men.
Yes.
And so, you know, I said, let me get in. I had a referral that was a few years old and I hadn't did it. So let me hurry up and get in and get this done. So I called the doctor. My doctor was on vacation. And, you know, while it's fresh in your mind, you want to get it done so you don't get distracted. So the doctor that was filling in said, no, I can't give you the referral. You're going to have to wait for your doctor to come back. So my doctor comes in and I call and I'm like, hey, can I get that updated referral so I can go get this done? And really, it was just about me getting the colonoscopy.
Yes.
And I wasn't thinking about all the other stuff. I just thought, let me get this out of the way because I feel great. There's nothing wrong with
I'm
me.
going to rule everything out
everything
here.
else out. Right. Don't even need
clean
that.
the bill of health,
Yeah.
get out of the corona,
Right.
and go for it.
And so, again, my doctor comes back from vacation, says, no, I'm not giving you referral. You need to come in for a physical. Now I'm bothered.
Thinking, what?
You know, why I got to go through all of this? So, so she makes me come in, and I go in, and when I go to, I go get my physical, then my blood work comes back and my PSA is 14, which is 5 times the amount it should be.
That it should be.
And so, right away she gets me in to see a urologist. So we undergo a lot of tests. Come to find out that I was at stage 3, prostate cancer. And so with that came this whole journey of understanding men's health. And the one thing that I'd like to say, and you know, and I'll say to men, listen, understand something. You're not going to get away from it. It's not like not going is going to make it disappear. What you can do is do something about it early so that you can live with or without it easier and happier. And I can attest to that today. And what I mean by living with or without it is that when I was diagnosed at stage 3, now take it, I could have caught this 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was confined to my prostate.
Yes.
And so, you know, most men, when you hear about prostate, they'll tell you, you know, all of the doctors will tell you, it won't kill you. It won't kill you as long as it's confined to your prostate.
To the prostate, yeah.
But if you don't address it while it's confined in the prostate, it will kill you. Prostate cancer likes to jump to the bones. And obviously because you have bones throughout your body,
yes,
it makes you a lot more susceptible to other cancers. Because just imagine the cancer jumping into the bones, now it can go to the liver, can go to the colon, go to the breast, etc.
Exactly.
It can get throughout your body, and that's when it becomes uncontrollable. But it doesn't have to be that way. And
so what are some of the things that you may have, in hindsight, gone through that you could have possibly maybe ignored prior to it getting to stage 3?
Yeah, so, you know, and that's a very interesting thing, because I've had some guys say, well, Darryl, you didn't have any signs. I worked out every day.
Oh, yeah.
I was busy.
Busy.
And I was living a wonderful life. But I'm going to ask the ladies to close their ears right now. There's 2 little secrets.
Okay.
You know. For men.
Symptoms.
Okay. Yeah. 2 things.
It's not for the ladies.
It's not for the
Only
ladies.
for me.
Oh, right. So
the audience of men.
So listen. if you go to urinate and it's taking you a minute or two to urinate, that's not normal. It really should be over in 30 seconds, 45 seconds at the most. The other thing is, guys, as much as it seems like it's the best thing in the world, if you are during intimacy, if you are going a long time without climaxing, it's not normal. I thought finally I mastered my brain, knew how to control it.
Some kind of dude, huh?
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I got this now.
Finally, at this age,
I know how this works.
Control.
It was all, I'm thinking it's all up here. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, you thinking you jamming. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't up there, it was down there.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It's a problem. Okay.
A red flag all day.
Yes.
So,
okay.
if it's, and it wasn't that it wasn't occurring. Mm-hmm. It just seemed that I could force it to occur, but it required effort.
Yes.
It didn't happen naturally. Yeah. When it stops happening naturally, and those
you gotta get your mind right, and you just gotta concentrate too much. Yeah, that's true.
Right. And so it's not about maintaining and holding an erection. Yeah. It's about
reaching that peak.
Yeah,
in a decent amount of time.
Yeah, and if it's going a long time, those are just a couple of signs that I would say to men that if those things happen, you need to definitely go and check. Mm-hmm. And I know that one of the things, there are a lot of programs out here that you can get PSA exams for free. Mm-hmm.
Just so people know, PSA.
Yeah. So what PSA is? It's a product, and I forgot what the initials are. Okay, so but it's for the prostate. Mm-hmm. It's an exam. It's just blood work that they test when and it's the same. They use the same blood to check for cholesterol, etc. Mm-hmm. It will give the indication, and if you are above 50 and it's above 2.0, then you are
at risk.
Mm-hmm. Now there could be infections and so on that could cause it, so it's not always that.
To be off the PSA to be off balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you should definitely get checked. And there are programs out here that you could get it done for free. And don't think that because you don't have insurance that you cannot have the surgery. I had the prostatectomy exam in December, and before the surgery, before I had the surgery in December, there's a lot of work. You have to have biopsies, bone scans, which is just all machines.
Just to rule out everything.
Yeah, just to to make sure the bone scans is just to make sure that it didn't get outside of the prostate. Mm-hmm. And obviously MRIs and so on. Each one of those things are very costly things. Mm-hmm. I didn't pay $1. Northwestern Memorial Hospital covered all of my medical expenses through the end of last year. Mm-hmm. All the way up. And so I went into surgery on December 10th, and my coverage of the $77,000 was over on the 14th. Mm-hmm. And I knew that a lot of the exams were covered, but I'm like, there ain't no way this exam, I ain't no money left for that for the surgery.
I'm at my limit.
Right, I know. So I called and I'm like, I don't want to be on the bid here, getting ready for surgery. Yeah. And they're like, oh, Mr. Washington, you owe $50,000 more or something. And they just simply said, we're covering all of your medical expenses through the end of the year, but we do want to make sure that you have coverage for next year. Mm-hmm. Send us the proof. No problem. Obamacare was open. Coverage was in place. Here is, the insurance for 2021, which obviously is all good now because it's an ongoing process of still going to doctors and the treatments for everything. But you can survive. You can survive it. And as far as what life is like now, I'm back to, I do everything that
Well,
I
you
used to
look
do.
great.
Well, thank you.
You look great. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way you're not feeling great. I mean,
Yeah.
I see your energy level. You
It's everything.
you're back. Yeah.
Every single
And
thing.
are you still undergoing any of the treatments right now?
Yeah, so part of, because I was at stage 3, and you know, and in terms of cancer is concerned, stage 4, stage 5, you're checking out.
Yeah.
You know, people don't. There's no more
Very
stages.
few people. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can sustain it for a while, but
Yeah,
when
yeah,
it'll come back
yeah.
with a vengeance. So sometimes.
But because mine was confined, and and it was so radical that it required some follow-up treatment. So now I do radiology, and radiology lasts 15 minutes a day, but it's every day, Monday through Friday, for 7 weeks.
Okay.
But in conjunction with the radiology is hormonal therapy. And the hormonal therapy is, you know, I take a pill, and I had to have an injection twice in this. It's over a 6-month period, a Lupron injection.
Yeah,
and
we were discussing that
Right,
because
right.
I've had Lupron injections. I've had
Yeah.
Lupron shots for fibroid tumors.
Okay.
In the past,
Right,
and
right.
We were discussing how it will trigger
Yeah.
a hot flash.
Yeah, oh yeah. So
So-
I have the hot flash, just like what women go through. So it's you know,
Well,
it's a bit.
you're gonna be able to really understand.
Look, I already get. You can let
You know,
the window
most
down.
men complain
Right.
about why do you have the air conditioner on,
Right.
and the fan,
Oh, yeah.
and the window open, and it's 30 degrees outside.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm with you, girl. Come on, let's get these windows open.
I know, right? Yeah, great. Let them down. I
Let's
understand.
do it.
Whatever
Yeah.
you need.
But yeah, and that will end.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
hot flashes will eventually
Yeah.
go away once
Right.
the shot's out of your system.
Yeah. So you know, I do the second one in July,
Okay.
and it lasts 90 days. So by the time I reach October, it'll be gone, and testosterone level
Will start to increase.
Will skyrocket back up instantly, because the body produces it. You know,
But right
in the
now they
whole-
need to
Yeah.
keep it at bay so
Right.
it does not produce the hormone that could cause.
cancer.
The cancer
Right.
again,
So
yes.
through the radiation, through trying to make sure that all of the cancer cells are eradicated from prostate cancer, is the radiation and Lupron injection. And so basically Lupron, you know, it starves cancer cells.
Exactly.
Because the testosterone feeds it. And so by doing that, it'll slow down the testosterone growth, and then thus starve cancer
Yeah.
cells.
And wipe it out.
Wipe
completely.
it out completely. Yeah, and
You were very fortunate. Very fortunate. I want to say very blessed. I would call it blessed
Yeah.
to be able to just stumble upon it in time, and everything that surrounded it was put in place.
right, yes.
That's amazing.
And of course, the one thing was the colonoscopy, which was the driving force behind me getting in the doctor. I did that test, and I did that, and it came out negative, so it was no problems with with colon cancer. So that was great. You know, and I encourage men to take that one as well. That one is a little bit more detailed, you know, because you have to, you basically have to go on a diet for 24 hours where you eat nothing and you
Yeah,
only...
it's a challenge.
Yeah,
it's a challenge because everyone should do it at 50.
Yeah, you need to
and
do it.
It's a challenge
Yeah,
that
right.
the solution that you drink, everyone,
Right,
is
yeah.
is atrocious.
Yeah, it's actually gotten a little better.
No, no. I don't know if it got better. I did it.
Yeah.
I just like this, during the corona, I just said, I'm
Okay.
getting a complete clean bill of health. I'm
Right.
doing everything what the one comedian calls the rooter to the tutor.
Okay.
And so I did it. I
Yeah.
did it, and that stuff was the most awful
Really?
thing.
I didn't find it to be that bad.
The
Yeah,
texture,
yeah.
it was awful. But you do what you got to
Yeah,
do.
right,
You do
right.
what you got to do. And
Yeah.
fortunately, I was fine. But
Oh, good.
yeah, so that's a That colonoscopy is just, but the actual procedure itself was nothing.
Yeah, right. The procedure.
It was absolutely nothing.
Right.
They woke me up and I said, "You're done." They're like, "You're done." I'm
right.
like, "Okay."
You felt nothing. It was
Felt
just
nothing.
like, yeah, it's like
Nothing.
right. You just was
I was like,
asleep
"Okay."
for a minute.
That was easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the drinking of the solution and everything is pretty bad. But it's mandatory. It's mandatory for men and women to get that done.
Yeah, and so, you know, I guess, you know, on the subject of health, you know, and I don't know, and I don't think I ever gave a lot of thought to it as a man about, you know, mine was more procrastination than anything else. There was
Been
no
busy
fear.
making money.
Yeah. So, you know, and so I never thought about, I never worried about me having a issue, you know, because I thought I was in good health. But you don't understand the things that could be developing inside of you that don't show signs, which is obviously a blessing. Because by the time you start getting all of the signs, it's usually too late.
Too late, exactly.
But know that you don't change the course of what's going to happen. But what you can change the course is
how it happens.
Is how it happens, and
not what you go through, is how you go through it.
Right, and whether or not you're in a situation years from now where you're suffering from it. One of my close friends, who's been a great support for me, went through the same thing, and he called me regularly just to check on me as I went through this. And he told me a story of his half brother, him telling him about it, and he waited too late and didn't go. And he said he watched him die because he had prostate cancer, but because he didn't go, and have it checked.
And I do know that statistics show that black men would die of prostate cancer much quicker than any other race because of the pride, because of neglect, feeling like they're macho, not wanting anything to be wrong with them.
Right.
And they just don't go. And some of it is, like you said, it could be financial. They may not have, insurance or whatever, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You can still have this done.
Yeah,
but don't be afraid.
Right. It's 1 in 4, 1 in 5 men will have prostate cancer.
Yes, it's very common. It's very common, just like breast cancer in women, but it's not a death sentence.
Yeah.
You remove it, you're done.
Yeah, and the other thing, and I think it's necessary that, you know, we not omit it, and that is that, you know, we say, well, tell me what life will be like afterwards.
Yes.
You know, obviously, the prostate produces, basically produces semen.
Yes.
So that, you know, if you wanted to have children, you would not be able to, which I'm doing that anyway at my age.
And most often, if a man does get prostate, it's usually later in years. So they usually have already had their children.
Right,
so that's nothing to be concerned with unless you.
Right, unless you decide you want to have something 55 or 60 years old.
Exactly.
But so that, and then, you know, in terms of, you know, the question of what is intimacy like, it's, you know, you will lose that for a while. Some 6 months to a year to almost 2 years, just depending upon, your process and when you caught it and so on. So, you know, but life goes on, and, you know, and life can return back to normal if you simply commit to just doing what you need to do early. So that's amazing.
Yeah, that's great. There was another thing I wanted to kind of bring out. You were a year ago, when I talked to you a year ago, prior to all this happening, we were discussing what it was that you wanted to do to give back to the community and to the, as far as helping young men.
Yeah. And isn't that ironic that we were talking a year ago and none of this had went on? Right.
Yeah. Then the story just got bigger.
Right.
It just got bigger.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to touch on that too, because it's obvious that you've already beat this thing.
Yeah.
It's obvious you've already beat it.
Right.
This is something that you went through in order to build your story.
Sure.
To build who you are as
Yeah.
as a person, as a
Right.
person that can persevere and get through all obstacles. When the real estate market crashed, you reinvented yourself.
Yeah.
You got into the trucking business. Then you went back to what you love. So you have in you this drive that's going to be successful in whatever it is you touch.
Right.
So I know now you're looking at this point in your life to assist God in helping bring up some young men that would otherwise not know
Yeah,
which
so-
way to turn.
Yeah, and so I've had this vision of trying not just to share the things that I know, and not just in real estate, because it transcends real estate. Every single day when I see young black men, I think of all of these wonderful opportunities that I think exist to really change life. And the guys that are out here, the young guys that's out here in the streets that's hustling because that's what they know, these are very smart guys.
Yes, they are.
That if you can put them in any other arena, they can succeed. You address whatever deficiencies, but they can succeed. And one of the things that came to mind, and I think I shared this with you, and I really wish I had already taken the time to be able to give the exact numbers. But I said, I would like to just hold a kind of a group seminar kind of
Yes,
thing, and I
exactly.
would say to young men, I have a job. I need to have my grass cut at my house. It's
Yes.
really only small. It's a very small front yard, and I don't have any grass in the back. But I need somebody to do it for $25 a week, and that's all I can guarantee.
Just keep it going, yes.
Is there anybody that would sign up to do that? I would probably say that nobody would sign up to do that.
Yeah.
You missed the point. It wasn't about my yard. It's about the other 25 houses on the block that you now have access to. Oh, and I forgot. There's another block in back of me, and a lot more blocks in back of them, and a lot more blocks in front. And so I tell the story to say, you walked away because you didn't want to cut my grass for $25, but you didn't think about my neighbors on
And
both
their
sides,
neighbors, yeah.
and then the neighbors on the other side of the street, those three, and then the next three, and then the next three, then the next three, then the next three, and then into the next block. So if you think that other guys that are cutting the grass are doing it at $25, and you do it at 20, and you pick up 10 to 20, you pick up 10 accounts to cut grass on their block because you did it for $5 less, and you did equal the job or better, or you decided that in the spring that you would put down fertilizer for them, which is not something that the other people do. That's enough to make a customer say, oh, you're going to treat my grass so that in the spring it grows healthier, and you're going to charge $5 less, and you're going to do that for free, and you're going to do it in the fall when the season is over? Sure, why not?
Exactly.
So now for every block,
Building a whole,
you've now picked up $200, $400. Multiply that times 10 blocks, or multiply that over an 8-hour day of you spending 10 to 15 minutes a house. Now you've turned this into a business that could earn you anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a day. And it's all legal money.
yes.
And so what you do is you bring a couple of guys along and you teach them to cut grass. And you say, well, but I don't know how to cut grass. Go and volunteer. Go and work for somebody else. Go and say to one of the guys that's cutting grass now, I'm looking for work. Can I come and work for you? Don't tell them that you're trying to take their business. Can I come and work for you? I only
learn.
need
It's
$5 a day. Fine. Pay me $10 a day. Go in and learn. Take the $10, which is nothing, because you're not there for the 10. You're there for the experience. And if you do it and learn that at the end of a week or 2 weeks, you will have learned enough. And then you just need seed money to figure out how you buy equipment. And if you need to stay on long enough that you can buy equipment by working for somebody else, then you go right out and now you've got a business. And it's the same thing with
anything that you
with
do.
anything. And and I take it and relate it to my business now. I would love to be able to bring young guys and have them work with my other guys to teach them to paint. You come in, you learn to paint, and a lot of guys say, "No, man, I ain't coming to work for $50 a day. No, I ain't coming to work for $100 a day."
They're not able to look at the long term, the big picture. Because
Right.
I know in life, there's a top and a bottom to every profession.
Right.
So you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you collect garbage, you
Right.
you could be a garbage collector and then save your money and buy your own truck.
Right.
And before you know it, you got 5 trucks.
Sure.
And so on and so on. So no job is beneath anyone because you can build up to the point of where
right.
you own a business in that particular thing, no matter how dirty the job is or how small the job
Exactly.
is. Yeah.
And so, with all of the various trades, be it doing tile, putting in floors, painting, doing trim work, come and you learn to work. It may not be the ideal salary, but
Right
you're
now.
not there, right? You're not there for the ideal salary. You're there to learn to be an entrepreneur. And that's what I want to teach.
Yeah.
I want to be able to teach you to be an entrepreneur because I understand this young generation, they're not interested in coming to work for somebody every day for the rest of their lives.
And
That's
some of them
not
have
them.
backgrounds.
Yeah, right.
And if you start your own business, nobody cares about your background.
Exactly. Yeah,
Unless it's something
right.
that's going to harm them or whatever. But no one's interested in
Right.
that. Can you do the job?
Right. And so, if we take again, the other one of being learning to do tile work. If you come and you learn to do tile work and you become proficient at it, that means committing yourself to making sure you're doing it the right way and ask every question and learn. Then you come back to me as a tile contractor and say, Darryl, I'll do all of your bathrooms for you for every job. And I'll do them at this number. And we'll work second shift so that your jobs can keep moving the
forward.
next
Yes,
day
exactly.
faster because we know that time is money. And if we can get it out of the way in the afternoons when all of your guys are gone, then the next day you can come back in and you can put fixtures in. That becomes something that we all want. And guess what I do? I get on the phone and call all of my other buddies who do that and say, hey, man, I got a guy who's doing bathrooms and he's doing them for $750.
So we'll have to set this up because there's so many, a lot of young men are without work now because of the pandemic, and this is the best time to get started with something like that for those young men that are interested in turning their life around or becoming successful in their own, in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So that's something you definitely have to bring to fruition.
Yeah, and I really
soon I'm sure you've already.
I really would. So one of the things that I'm doing now is that all of my experience in development has been primarily, renovation, so flipping properties, existing properties, and now I'm moving to all new construction stuff. And my business model was slightly different because I'm really trying to tie a community component to it. And part of that community component is I want to bring people in on every one of these jobs to be able to teach skills again, not because I need workers, but because I want to teach them to be entrepreneurs. I want those guys to be able to say they specialize in tile work. And so for all of the guys that do what I do, they already know that when it comes time that I teach them all of the things that they need in terms of running the business, how to do their proposals and their contracts and so on. And guess what? All of their buddies that they're hanging out with now who are not working, you bring them in. They are your employees.
They're your employees.
And guess what you're doing? You're paying them $100 a day.
Exactly.
And you're making off of the contract, you're making $400 a day. So it's the same kind of money they make in the streets hustling.
Exactly.
So why not do it? I mean, and again,
turn
the problem.
That hustle.
Yeah, turn it into a legal hustle.
To a legal hustle.
And,
exactly.
And the problem is that I think that in a lot of instances there hasn't been anybody
that
to show them the other way that cared enough. And I know that there are a lot of obstacles. I understand. I've had guys that work for me that couldn't read. And
like you said, you'll address those things.
We will
as
address
they come.
those, right? And we all have problems in some capacity with something because we're human beings.
Exactly.
And so what we do to try and build and to help is really the key. And so, I don't have a problem with helping somebody that doesn't know how to read or someone that doesn't know math, for me to teach them the skills that they need to become proficient
to support that
doing whatever
job.
it is. And if they commit themselves, they'll do it. I think back to my career at FedEx as a senior manager, and even when I was an operations manager, math was my weakest skill in school. And by the way, I didn't graduate from college. But it was my weakest skill. And wouldn't you know it, that my job at FedEx, everything was about numbers.
And you figured it out, didn't you?
Yeah. And so
you figured out that you were good at math.
Yeah. And so then all of a sudden, I began to say, I need to learn this stuff. And so you learned it.
Learn what
and
it
then
is
you
that you need to
became,
learn.
and then I became proficient about it. And then, of course, now I just do math in my head so quickly and easy. But
everything is measurements almost.
But again, it wasn't something that I necessarily had the skill, but I learned. And so, and I tell the story just to say that we can overcome all of them.
Yes, we can.
And we as a people really need to try and do all we can to just show people a different life.
Exactly. And what's so wonderful is that, we all come to some point in life where we want our lives to be more meaningful. I mean, we can forever do things for ourselves, buy great cars, live in wonderful homes, dress to the nine, as they say, or whatever, and, wear the finest of jewelry. Yeah. We can do that all forever. Yeah. But really, what is it that you can do for God's people? Yeah. How can you be instrumental in assisting God in making his people better that may not know or have an opportunity that you had to be better? So I think that's really honorable of you to have this idea to start reaching out to young men or young women.
Women, yes. Mm-hmm.
In spite of their shortcomings, in spite of the mistakes that they've made, to build up themselves in business and have careers in what it is that you specialize in, and not having a problem with helping them, no matter what their shortcomings are or what their background is. That's amazing. And I know this was already in place before you were diagnosed with your with cancer. So it's not like all of a sudden now, hey, I better do something great in the world. Got this cancer, let me get some points with God. It's not that at all. Because this was way before you even was diagnosed. And I think that probably now it's even more of an unrelenting urge to do this and make a difference in the world in the way that you can.
It is. And, and part of, obviously, my excitement about being here with you today is just yet another opportunity that part of anything that we try and do to be successful and to accomplish things in life is about taking the journey.
Yes.
It's about taking the journey. This is the first time I've ever sat down and did an interview
with anybody
on some cameras. Because I'm kind of a stay low to the ground
you are.
kind of
You
person.
are. Yeah.
I don't need to be recognized, and I don't need accolades. I just do what I do. But I understood that part of this journey for me is taking it. And taking it means me coming to sit down and do this with you in an effort to try and hopefully reach someone.
Just one.
Just one.
Even if it's one. Like we said, even if it's one that you can reach and assist them and just saving their life. Your job is done. That's all God asks us to do is to just put ourselves out there, get rid of our ego, get rid of our pride, get rid of the shame, the embarrassment, or the humiliation that we may feel as a result of being human.
Sure.
And just open ourselves up and be vulnerable and share. Because there's somebody out there that don't know. And we could save their life, and that's our job.
My greatest satisfaction as I look back over my life, my professional life, has always been, it's always had one common denominator. Mm-hmm. The real fulfillment always came as a result of the impact that I was able to make on people's lives. I think mm-hmm. back to my days at FedEx, mm-hmm. my management staff, my staff meetings with them was always about people. Mm-hmm. It was never about FedEx's numbers, because I understood that if I was able to reach my people and my people were able to reach their people, mm-hmm. we'd bag into numbers, which we always did. Yeah. Because we had the relationship on really addressing people. Mm-hmm. And the greatest satisfactions came from the letters that people who had worked for me would send me after they had left, expressing their appreciation for what I did for them, for the people who hired from Cabrini Green that had never owned anything, had mm-hmm. never taken a vacation, that had never held a job, that would come back and say, thank you for helping me open a bank account, for me buying my first car, for me having a family and going on my first vacation. Because they would pop into my office and come and knock on the door. Hey, Mr. Washington, you got a minute? Can I come in? Mm-hmm. And I'd always welcome them in to come and sit down and talk about whatever. If it was something at home, if it was they were thinking about getting married and they wanted to buy a ring, and so
mm-hmm. Yeah, you became that beacon of light for them, someone they could depend on and give them an example of something other than what they had experienced perhaps in their family and generations prior to them. Yeah. And that's just what it's about. But I know we don't have a lot of time left, and I just want to thank you so much. And if there's anything else that you could think of to share with these men out here about just kind of pushing forward and making sure they take care of themselves, I would like for you to share that in closing.
Well, know that we can accomplish a lot, and that we should never give up. And we can change. We don't have to, whatever today is, we can make tomorrow different. Take the journey. Take that first step. I'm taking that first step, being here today, doing something different than I normally do to try and reach people. Let's ask, just take an additional step. Tony has all of my information. I would love to, if it's just to talk, if it's you want to do something, if you need some advice, whatever I can do to help. It's my mission. It's my purpose, and I'd love to do it.
Well. But thank you so much for tuning in and listening to my amazing hero in Chicago, Darryl Washington. I'm so fortunate to know these amazing people. I didn't have to search. I already know them. So I'll be bringing more to you as time goes on. And I just want to thank you, Darryl, so much for being here and opening up and sharing your story and your goals to help assist other people to become better physically, emotionally, financially, just an overall betterment. That's your goal, to help people in every aspect. So I really appreciate you. I thank you so much. And gosh, I'm just glad to know you.
Thank you.
This is the Tony Talk Show. Thank you.